Good morning, students. Today we shall read chapter 3, The Shepherd's Treasure. A poor shepherd once lived in Iran. Though uneducated, he was very wise and helpful. The king decided to meet him in disguise. So, once there lived a poor shepherd. Shepherd, we know who takes care of the herds of goats. The shepherd was uneducated but was very wise and helpful, and that's why he was very famous. So the king decided to meet him in disguise. Disguise means the king, we can say that means changed his appearance and wanted to meet him just like a normal human being or a common man. In a village in Iran, there once lived a shepherd. He was very poor. He did not have even a small cottage of his own. He had never been to school or learned to read and write, for there were very few schools in those days. So, in a village in Iran, there lived a shepherd. He was very poor. He did not even a small cottage of his own, means small house of his own, and he had never been to school. Neither he knew how to read or write, read and write. It's because that there were very few schools in those days. The poor and uneducated, this shepherd was very wise. He understood people's sorrows and troubles and helped them face their problems with courage and common sense. Many people come to him for advice. Soon he became famous for his wisdom and friendly nature. The king of that country heard about him and thought of meeting him. So here you can see that he was poor, uneducated, but he was very wise. In fact, he understood people's sorrows, problems, and used to help them to face with courage. So many people come to him for advice, and soon he became so famous that his wisdom and friendly nature reached into the king's ears, and the king thought to meet that poor shepherd. Disguised as a shepherd and riding on a mule, one day the king came to the cave where the wise shepherd lived. So you see that finally the king disguised himself as a shepherd, means changed his appearance, that of a shepherd, and rode on a mule, means a donkey like animal, and then came to the poor shepherd where he was living. He was living in a cave because he had no house of his own. As soon as the shepherd saw the traveler coming towards the cave, he rose to welcome him. He took the tired traveler inside the cave, gave him water to drink and a share of his own meager meal. The king rested for the night in the cave and was greatly impressed by the shepherd's hospitality and wise conversation. So, as soon as the shepherd saw the traveler coming towards the cave, means when the shepherd saw the king, means he didn't know that he was king, coming towards the cave, he went near to welcome him. He took the tired traveler inside the cave. Here, the king is the traveler who has changed his appearance to that of a shepherd, and took him to the cave, gave him water to drink and share of his own meager meal. Meager means very low means less amount of food he had to eat, but still he gave a share of it. The king rested for the night in the cave and was greatly impressed by the shepherd's hospitality. Hospitality means the way the shepherd took great care of his guest, means of the traveler, and wise conversation. The shepherd was able to make out that his visitor was none other than the king. The king made the wise shepherd governor of a small district. Other governors became jealous of the new governor and called him dishonest. So finally, the shepherd got to know that his visitor or the traveler was none other than but the king, and the king made the wise shepherd the governor of a small district, for which all other governors became jealous of the new governor because the shepherd was appointed as a governor, and the other governors called him dishonest. Though still tired, the king decided to depart the next morning. He said, "Many thanks for your kindness to a poor traveler. I have a long way to go. Permit me to leave." So the next day in the morning, the king wanted to depart. So he wanted to take a leave. He wanted to take his permission to allow him to go. Looking straight into the eyes of his guest, the shepherd replied, "Thank you, Your Majesty, for paying me the compliment for a visit." Really surprised that how did the shepherd get to know that the traveler was none other than but the king. So he thanked by saying the traveler means honoring the traveler and Your Majesty, and he told that he is really very thankful for he paid him a visit. The king was astonished as well as pleased. He is indeed very wise, he thought to himself. I need people like him to work for me. And the king appointed this humble shepherd the governor of a small district. So the king was astonished as well as pleased, means very happy. And the king got to know that really the shepherd is very wise. And the king thought that he needed people like him to work for him. So the king appointed the shepherd as the governor of a small district. Although he rose to power and dignity, the shepherd remained as humble as ever. People loved and honored him for his wisdom, sympathy, and goodness. He was kind and just to one and all. His fame as a fair and wise governor soon spread throughout the country. So very quickly he rose to power and dignity, means respect. He got a lot of respect from the people, but still he was humble. Means very kind and gentle. People loved and honored him, respected him for his wisdom, sympathy, and goodness. He was kind not to one but to all. So his popularity, his fame was really very fair, very clean and pure, and he became very popular soon throughout the country. Now the governors of other provinces, means other regions, grew terribly jealous of him and began to talk to the king against him. They said he is very dishonest and keeps for himself part of the money and that he collects as tax from the people. Why did he always carry with him? They added an iron chest. Perhaps he carried in it the treasure that he had secretly collected. So the governors of other provinces, means other districts or other regions, they became terribly, means really very jealous of him and complained the king against him. They said that he is really very dishonest. He keeps himself the part of the money from the tax that he collects, and he always carries an iron chest with him. And they said the king that probably he has kept all his treasure that he had secretly collected in it, means secretly collected from the people, means he has kept some amount of wealth in his iron chest that he used to carry. After all, they said mockingly, he was an ordinary shepherd and could behave no better. So they all mocked him, means they all made fun of the shepherd and told the king that he is only a shepherd, and from shepherd he has reached to the post of governor. So he is keeping a part of the money that he collects from the people, and puts it in his iron chest, so that he wants to be rich. The new governor was called to the palace. He was ordered to explain why he always carried an iron chest. Chest means we can say draw like equipment. The chest contained no gold or no silver. At first, the king did not pay attention to these reports, but how long could he ignore these governors and their endless stories about the shepherd? One thing was certain, the king discovered. The new governor did carry an iron chest with him all the time. So, at first, the king did not pay any attention to the reports which were presented before him by the jealous governors. But one thing he was certain, means he was sure that he himself discovered was the iron chest that the shepherd used to carry with him all the time. So one day the new governor was summoned, means called, to the palace. He came riding on his camel, and to everyone's delight, the famous iron chest was there fastened, means tied securely behind him on the camel's back. So finally, he was summoned, means he was called to the palace, and he came riding on his camel, and everyone was really very delighted. Why? Because all other governors thought that he would be caught red-handed for hiding treasure in the iron chest, and for which he would be dismissed by the king. So he came, and this time the iron chest was fastened, means was tied securely behind on the camel's back. Now the king was angry. He thundered, means he spoke angrily. Why do you always carry that iron chest with you? What does it contain? The governor smiled. He asked his servant to bring in the chest. How eagerly the people standing around waited for the shepherd to be found out. But how great was their astonishment, and even of the king himself. When the chest was opened, no gold or silver or jewels, but an old blanket was all that all that came out. So the king angrily asked him that what he was trying to hide in that iron chest. So, and everybody was very delighted. They were against the shepherd. So finally, the iron chest was brought in, and when it was opened, to a great surprisement for all, even for the king as well, when the chest was opened, there were no gold, no silver, no other jewels, but only an old blanket. So what was come out of that iron chest? An old blanket. Holding it off proudly, the shepherd said, "This, my dear master, is my only treasure. I always carry it with me." So he showed it to the king, and told the king that this is the only thing, means this old blanket is the only thing that he carries always with him in that iron chest. But why do you carry such an ordinary blanket with you? Surely you are the governor of a district, the king asked. Then the king wanted to know the reason for why he used to carry such an ordinary blanket with him, even though he is a governor of a district. To which the shepherd replied with quite dignity, "This blanket is my oldest friend. It will still protect me if at any time your majesty should wish to take away my new clothes." So finally, he told that this blanket is his oldest friend. It's a very old friend. It protects him at any time. And he then says that if the king wants, the king can takes away his new clothes, means new clothes, but not this blanket. How pleased the king was, and how embarrassed the jealous governors became to hear the wise man's reply. Now they knew that the shepherd was indeed the humblest and the wisest man in the land. The king made him the governor of a much bigger district that very day. So the king got very pleased, and all other jealous governors, they felt embarrassed. Means really very, means they we can say that they realized their mistakes, and they knew that the shepherd was indeed the humblest and the wisest man in the world. They understood their fault. They realized that the shepherd was really the most kindest and the most wisest man in the land, and the king made him the governor of a much bigger district that very day. And this story has been taken from an Iranian folk tale, and this is what. So you read it again and try to find out all the difficult words and look upon their meanings in dictionary, and then answer these questions. If any doubt, you can ask me. Thank you.